Herman Mashaba, Action SA President. Welcome to Pap Politics. Hi on 5FM. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. Always appreciate this type of opportunities.
It's always a pleasure. Now, I want to start with a bit of an icebreaker. I do it with all my guests. It's something about Joburg. I mean, we know now you're running to becoming Joburg Mayor. And so I just wanted to check, how well do you know some of Joburg's most famous monuments? Okay?
Let's try.
Okay. Let's start. Let's start with this. What is this? You know where this is?
This not the chambers, council chambers?
No, it's a tower. It's like isn't that the tallest monument? Ponte Towers.
Oh, is that Ponte?
It's Ponte Towers. I know it's weird.
Okay, because I'm seeing it from inside.
Yeah,
so it's very difficult to really figure it out.
It was a bit of a tricky thing.
It was tricky.
Okay, and so this. Wait, I don't even know. Do I know what this is?
Oh my goodness, Ponte Towers. Let me tell you about it. In the 70s, 80s was the place.
I imagine.
You know.
I imagine. Okay, what's this?
Is that not the Apartheid Museum?
Yes, it is. How well do you know this one? This is a bit of a. I just threw in something a bit random, just for good measure. What do you think this is?
It looks like someone's expensive home. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
I don't know who lived in such a palace.
It's the Gupta home.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. When I was the mayor, I used to get cross with development planning because this building was built without approvals from the city. So when I left, we were busy with getting a court order to go and demolish it.
I had no idea.
No, because built without city's approval. So, given an opportunity this time around to be this thing. Because we can't allow the rule of law, and we can't have a situation where we are saying poor people cannot build, but those with money can do as they please. Given an opportunity to be the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, and I serve the full term with a mandate, I can tell you that property is going to be demolished. So just to ensure that we have the rule of law. Because if you want to destroy a country or you want to build a country and economy, you have to have the respect for the rule of law.
I mean, and you've been hitting the ground running, right, since launching your campaign. How's that been? How have people been receiving you?
Oh, yeah, and I think for me, Thabo, I feel I'm one of the most privileged South Africans. Why privileged? At my age, to get an opportunity to serve my country on a voluntary basis. I don't get paid to do this job, and my family puts in a lot of money into this initiative. I was born in abject poverty. My father decided to die when I was 2 years old. I know how to go to school in winter without shoes. I know how to be punished because my parents couldn't afford a 25 cents school fees. I know how to take care of myself from the age of 14 when I went to Form 1 up to Form 5. Completely taken care of myself, buying my own books, buy my own clothes and stuff like that. Yeah. By gambling, I used to play dice. I was an auctionman to support myself because my mother couldn't afford. And I was, I don't know if you're aware, I was raised in a child-headed household. My sister, 13 years, my senior, she was the one in charge of the home. I lived a big part of my youth in a teen house. What would be squatter camp, but in a village, 2-room, because my father decided to die before building my mother's house, living here with 6 kids. So, and then obviously at the age of 22, I decided to take charge of my own life. After PW Botha disrupted my university studies, I went to TEFLOP in 1979. I couldn't be admitted to Pretoria University because of how God created me. Pretoria University, which was a half an hour's drive from my village to half an hour 45 at the most, but obviously at the time you wouldn't get anywhere near Pretoria University. I had to go 350 kilometers to develop university. Second year of my studies, one day PW Botha decided to surround the university with the campus with the army, and we were given 6 hours to leave. And that unfortunately became the end of my academic dream. I was studying at my colleagues at university can tell you, I thought I'll never stop learning until I'm a professor. And because I was majoring in political science, and I used to love, that's why probably I love politics, but I'm a capitalist on the other hand. And I think, knowledge of history and politics, it helps me to navigate the lives. Because when I turned 22, that's when I realized, Herman, you're getting old. And my grandfather had insisted from the day, on the day I was born, 26th of August, 1959, my grandfather told everyone in our community that this boy has to succeed in life. So I grew up with that heavy expectations. And actually, I remember we were growing up, I used to sometimes feel my grandfather was too much on me. But
a lot of pressure.
I'm so grateful because at the age of 22, that's when I realized, Herman, you've got to live your own life, because you can't live someone else's life and dreams. That's what my grandfather had instilled in me. That's why I started business, despite the fact that I had to duck and dive from police for the pass loss. Because those days we needed a white employer on a monthly basis to sign your reference book that you are employed, and you are employed in a particular area. It wasn't a question that it was signed. It depended where you were, because if you stepped out of the area where you were working, you still be arrested. That's why, people our age and before our age, black men and women, it was impossible not to go to jail.
Yeah.
So as a black person going to jail, because you'll be arrested for all manner of everything. I mean, your chances of avoiding jail. I mean, I remember my mother working here in Johannesburg as a domestic worker, how often they will be arrested, because you would really be working and decide to go and visit a friend somewhere in the neighborhood. And then forgets an ID. A reference book, and she'll be arrested overnight. I mean, it was a crazy times. But look, we live now in a democratic dispensation, and I feel betrayed by the ANC. They've allowed themselves to be corrupted by the old system. The ANC, since Mandela, unfortunately, has been a complete disaster. But I think, fortunately enough, we still live in a democratic dispensation or time. But I think the challenge we are facing is that our youth are staying away from exercising their power. Powerful voice, because voting is the most powerful tool that you can get as an individual. But our youth in particular, they undermine themselves. They don't think they can change the course of history, like what we did during the difficult days of our country, where we faced bullets, we faced arrest, we faced disappearance. I don't know, I can tell you how many of my family members, including my grandfather, why my grandfather was such a head man, was that his only brother, even up to today, we don't know what happened to him, because he was one of those cheeky blacks like me, And so we grew up in that environment, and the current generation, they are being fooled to say that democracy doesn't work. Do they want to go back to one party rule by the army or by some HF route? We cannot afford to really go there. We must embrace democratic dispensation. We need to learn that we need to go out and vote and not be married to political parties. When you vote for a political party, or an individual, you vote them to go and serve you. As soon as they stop serving you, vote them out.
Yeah.
And this whole nonsense of saying your vote it's your secret. It's actually the biggest weapon used to our people. That you must keep your vote secret. That is why politicians are manipulating our people. My vote has never really been a secret and will never be, because why my vote should not really be a secret, so that politicians must respect me. Because we must understand my vote is important. My vote can vote them into power. My vote will vote them out in the event they fail me.
And I mean, you speak about the youth. Why do you think there is this, discouragement among the youth to vote, the failure to recognize that their voice has power? Why do you think that is? What do you think drives that?
I think, I remember almost 10 years into a democratic dispensation. At the time, I was still in business. And, for me, I grew up in an environment where, as a family, we have dinner together as and when I'm home. I've been married. Last week, I was married for 44 years.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was just 3rd of March, I was married for 44 years. So I grew up and obviously even when I grew up with my sisters, dinner has always been very important. It gives us an opportunity to engage. And 10 years into our democratic dispensation, I would say to my wife, I'm really concerned. I have a feeling the ANC, it's actually committed to ensure that black people don't get the right type of education using SATU, this teacher union. Because if you look at how they were destroying schools, one school after the other, on the other hand, closing down factories through COSATU, I said, I'm seeing real challenges. And here is it, 32 years into our democratic dispensation, 80% of public schools are dysfunctional. Our kids just go to school without getting any education whatsoever. So I think we're just really lucky that we have private schools that have emerged. But is it a good thing? Absolutely not, because majority of our people cannot afford private education when their parents are unemployed. So majority of our youth are not getting the education. So obviously when you're not getting the education, and you see these politicians being so corrupt, putting money under mattresses, building swimming pools, saying they are fire pools. They see people driving Rolls Royce and so forth. So and you open borders, allow international drug syndicates to come and give them drugs, because the type of drugs that fed to our youth, they make them dependent on drugs, and they can't think beyond what they, your hands. So it's a challenge, and I think this is not a mistake. I believe ANC is doing this deliberate, because they're on the payrolls of this criminal syndicates. I mean, look, I think let us be honest. God sent Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi to stop this nonsense. And what's coming out of Madlanga Commission and ad hoc, it's something that some of us have been aware. When I was the mayor, I uncovered 35 billion rands in 3 years of fraud and corruption involving not current members of parliament. Some of them are in our cabinet holding senior positions. So, our youth have given up, but they rely on the nyaupes of this world. They're drinking. I mean, you go into our communities today at 8 o'clock, it's something foreign to me.
Yeah.
Well, you see people Monday to one day, 6 o'clock in the morning, someone is moving around, two guys having this big bottle of beer. Where they get the money for this? And drugs, you've got international drug syndicates, the Nigerians turning our young women into prostitutes. The only pay they get is It's more drugs and more drugs. And we've witnessed the emergence of so-called human rights lawyers. During my time of apartheid, human rights lawyers could really be trusted to protect human rights of exploitation by the apartheid government. But now, if you look at so-called human rights lawyers and NGOs today, who are heavily funded, they are funded to make sure that you keep black people poor and uneducated. They will fight anyone who wants to see them liberated.
I mean, you speak about, Nigerians and drugs. We'll talk about immigration in just a moment. But I just wanted to go back. I mean, you've lived quite this life. Humble beginnings. We know the story by now. And now you become this very successful businessman. And then you run for mayor. But why run for mayor again? That seems like a lot of work. And as you said, you're obviously very privileged. You're not getting anything from this, as you say. But why run for mayor again?
Well, tell me, one thing, as I said to you about my grandfather, instilled in me a sense of living a life of purpose.
Yeah.
He really insisted on me from the day I was born until he died in 1978. I meant everything to him, and I spent a lot of time with him as and when he was around. He was a security guard for the Garangua municipality.
Yeah.
Went forced to go to war in the Second World War in Egypt and the Middle East, and she will relate how they were treated. Protecting a country where they were deprived to be citizens. And then when they came back, they were given a bicycle. He used to show me the bicycle they were given, and then show me the steenkamp around our neighboring village. They were given farms, and they were given bicycles. And then how his only brother that were so close, leaving 3 kids behind, still young. So he said, please be very careful, be vigilant, and make sure that you live your own life and live a life of purpose. Now, you can imagine I'm in my late 50s. Money is no longer an issue to me. I can go and live anywhere in the world. I don't need to work and visit my family 3-4 times a year. But I said, no, that's not an option. That's why when the DA approached me in late 2015, when you wake up, Jacob Zuma has got a new minister. You wake up, you've got a new minister of finance in the country. I mean, and I was really sick and tired. I was heartful of sitting with friends who claim to be experts. You go and play golf or whatever. There will be analysts and whatever. And I said, no, I was sick and tired of hearing this. And I said, if Herman is not you, who? If it's not now, then when? And that's why I accepted. At the time, I thought the DA was the appropriate vehicle. Accepted, take out the ANC same year in 2016. Unfortunately, that's when in the process discovered that the DA is not the party that I thought, because I was seeing them from outside, having guys like Musi, Maimane and so forth. And on the other hand, you've got the corruption of the ANC. I thought perhaps, because voting for me is always because of being knowing politics and history and democracy. I said, I've got to exercise my democratic right. And at the time, DA was the only viable option. Only to discover when I'm in there that, my goodness, this is not the party that I want to be associated with. And fortunately enough, Helen Zille exposed herself. She didn't realize that I'm a very connected person. I might not have an official intelligence services because I wasn't born yesterday. I was an Oxman, and I took myself to school. I paid for my education. I started business career at the age of 22. When I turned 30 during the dark days of my country, I'd already built myself a 6,000 square meter factory right in Mabopane, in the township, employing over 200 people. At the age of 30, I had a house in Soshanguve, double-storied house with a proper swimming pool, the tennis, full-fledged tennis court. When I turned 30, during the dark days of my country's history. Wow. But this didn't happen by chance. I thought I was a hardworking person, but I can tell you this politics, it's another world. This is brutal.
Do they still call you the black like me guy? Do they still do that?
Well, my business is still there, 40 years, 41 years. Black Luck is now 41 years old. My wife is working with my partners. My daughter is also in the business, and I hope her children and so forth. We've got lots of other business interest over the years. The factory I built I moved in late 89. People don't know. It was my construction company that built that factory. Wow. My house in Soshanguve, a double-storied house, was built by my own construction company. So by the time Nelson Mandela and so forth were released, and other political prisoners, when FW de Klerk, 2nd of February 1990, when he made the announcement about the release of political prisoners and banning of political parties, by then I was a very successful black businessman. And I can fast forward to 1994 in preparation for the elections, spend a fortune on voter education because, as I've indicated, I've always had interest in politics, realized the danger and deployed people, spend a fortune in ensuring that we run voter education using professional people, going into the villages, townships, to make sure that black people should not really take things for granted. Because of my involvement in business through Black Like Me and so forth, dealing with people didn't think voting it's important. So I realized a danger. So I spent my money was voter education, but asking them to vote for Nelson Mandela. So I played a role in that regard. So for anyone to expect me to sit at home, go and play golf, Fridays like this, when I was still in business, when this country was normal after Nelson Mandela or whatever, I'll go and play golf on Friday. Saturday morning, I'll go and play golf with my wife. Today, I can tell you, and I love golf. If I play golf 3-4 times a year, I'm lucky. And I miss it. But I think this job is important. As I said to you, if I don't do it now, when? Because we're running out of time. I don't want my grandchildren to live in a country like most of the African countries have been turned into. And we can see it with the city of Johannesburg. I mean, it's an embarrassment.
I mean, so 2015 you enter the fray, and now it's like 11 years later, now you're running again. I can't talk to you without talking about immigration. Obviously, Action SA has taken a very, very firm stance, on immigration. Do you worry that maybe that stance maybe fuels xenophobic sentiments, that kind of rhetoric? Do you worry about that at all?
No, how can I worry about the illegality? I think if you want to destroy a country, destroy the rule of law. There's just no way you can build an economy in a country where there's a non-existent of the breakdown of rule of law. When people come into our country illegally with no documentation, these people are criminals. I don't know if your own description of a criminal. A criminal is someone who breaks the law. So I'm saying is, if you expect to come to South Africa, we expect you to come here legally. If you are genuinely running away from your country, then apply through the right processes. Don't get involved in drugs. Don't get involved in spiking roads. Don't get involved in murder of our people. Don't get involved in running prostitution places and expect me to respect you. I think, for me, this whole concept of Ubuntu as South Africans, we've taken it too far. and people actually abuse our kindness. South Africa was built at the back of migrants. And if we want to build this country, we must continue inviting people of the world to come here. But when they come here, they must respect our laws. Those who don't, I can tell you, I have no time for them. I have no mercy for them. These people must be sent back to their countries.
So now, as mayor, then I imagine. So, assuming, let's say you do become mayor, how then do you draw the line between you're enforcing these immigration laws, these very strict immigration laws, and then protecting documented immigrants who might be vulnerable?
No, we're talking about undocumented illegal foreigners. Documented ones and South Africans, naturally, they're protected by our laws.
Yeah.
I'm talking about those who are in this country illegally and they're not documented. So there's a big difference. And I can tell you here, the city of Joburg, I ran raids here myself. Remember, before I came in, before I became a mayor, no one would talk about illegal foreigners because you'll be immediately summoned and asked to apologize. 1st of December 2016, during 100 days in office, I was giving the report back to the residents of the city of Johannesburg of what I've uncovered and how I intend addressing this. And I raised the issue of a serious risk to our country where illegal, undocumented foreign nationals, and I committed to people of South Africa that I'm going to deal with them. And I was called names, but fortunate enough, I had the loss of this country on my side, because when the ANC itself went to report me to the South African Human Rights Commission, everything I've uttered, it's in our laws.
And I mean, obviously, your business acumen it's what has helped you kind of rise to politics, right? And you even said earlier that, you're a capitalist, it's helped you kind of rise. And so now you look at, obviously, some people raise that as like a negative, some people as a positive, right? You look at I remember when President Cyril Ramaphosa was running for the CR17 campaign, Goremantashe said, well, this is the guy we're running behind, we're throwing our weight behind is a very successful businessman, he's a billionaire. Donald Trump did the same thing. He said, we're going to be making billions of dollars worth of deals for America. I've made all these deals. You need to vote for me. What do you say to that? What do you think makes your situation so unique?
Thabo, I don't know if you remember, I think about a month or so before the 2019 elections, where the first time people of South Africa had to officially vote for Cyril Ramaphosa. Mm-hmm. DA had a press conference here at the Constitutional Hill. Okay. They had a conference there. And at the time I was the mayor, they asked me to come and to be one of the speakers. And I addressed this issue, appealing to people of South Africa that I'm warning you, and I'm not a prophet. I said, you can go Google this. I said, people of South Africa, I said, you vote for Cyril Ramaphosa. I can assure you, 18 to 24 months, you'll be asking for Jacob Zuma to come back. Oh. I said, 18 to 24 months, you're going to be asking for Jacob Zuma to come back. And here we are. Cyril Ramaphosa has been in power for, 8 or 9 years, whatever. I tell you, if you compare Jacob Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa, Cyril Ramaphosa has been a complete disaster.
You think he's worse?
Oh, by miles.
Really?
No, not. Wow. By miles, because under Jacob Zuma, he had him and the Guptas, but the country was still reasonably working, as much as we knew about their corruption. Whereas under Cyril Ramaphosa, money under mattresses, hiring illegal foreigners who steal this money, the Marikana Meta behind him. It's a free-for-all. That's why right now we're seeing wholesale looting, which never used to happen under Zuma. I'm not saying Zuma is an angel. It's a bad man. But honestly, right now, under Cyril Ramaphosa, it's a man who can never make a decision. I can tell you, we see what's happening with Matlanga Commission. It's already, what was it, it's yesterday or so?
It was an extension
It's
now.
already extension. And
So
now
like
can imagine
August.
when he gets that report, he's going to now call for the inquiry again to advise him what decision to take to while away time. It's wholesale looting of our country. The sooner and he's captured by DA donors. He's not the man, because remember, for you to tell me Cyril Ramaphosa is a businessman, tell me which business. I've always said for many years, I said, Cyril Ramaphosa, my knowledge of him, even if you can make him the sole supplier of potatoes in the country, you won't know how to make a profit as a sole supplier. And you tell me he's a businessman. Yes, he's got billions by just going to sign and selling the future for our children and our country.
You don't hold back, and I've noticed, when you talk about the ANC, you really don't hold back. Now, which then begs the question, we don't know what kind of election we're going into. We don't know what the future holds. But a city like Joburg, famously, coalitions don't work very well, if you look at history. So now what happens then when you're in a position where you have to go into a coalition?
Let me open your eyes, and that's something that, for you guys in the media, I don't know whether you miss this deliberately or out of ignorance. Actually, even this morning before I left home, my wife and I were still in bed and we were discussing, because we listened to one of the radio stations deliberately. I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but I think it's deliberate. You know who's responsible for the mess we're seeing here in Joburg? Who caused Johannesburg started coalition in 2016?
Yes.
Who destroyed? Who collapsed that coalition?
Well, wasn't it like a DA-led coalition? It was, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was the mayor.
Yes.
With 38%, with 104.
Yes.
Relying on the EFF and other small parties. There was relying on 7 parties to really be in government. And ANC did everything possible to collapse my government. But fortunately enough, I managed to really keep that stable government until Helen Zille came into the picture. Helen single-handedly collapsed that government. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
With the IRR approaching the ANC corrupt leaders to say, guys, this man is coming after you. Nothing's going to stop him. You can capture the NPA, the works and the judiciary. Mashaba is coming after you. Come out with a motion of no confidence. I'll get majority of our DA white councillors to vote with the ANC to get him out. Remember when I took the country into confidence about the secret meetings, did she admit? She denied it. Remember?
Didn't Musimamani resign a couple of days later?
No. This is long. This is a few months before.
This is before. Okay.
This is few months. There was no motion of no confidence.
Okay.
Yeah, when I exposed the secret meetings.
Yeah.
And I said, if Helen Zille comes back, there was a vacancy in the DA. James Selfs had just resigned as the chair of Federal Council, and then Helen applied for this position. That's when I realized there's a chance that this woman will come back, and I call her evil because went to corrupt people who destroyed the future of our youth, to come out with a motion of no confidence, mobilize white councillors serving with me to vote with the ANC for my removal. And at the time when I raised this, she denied it. But you see, the one thing that I was taught by my grandfather, was that, when you lie, your problem is that you've got to always remember. What happened 2 years later, after I resigned, 2 years later, in an interview with Mzandile Mbeja of the SAPC, she had half an hour sit-down discussions like this. And Mr. Mbeja asked Helen, says, Helen, are you not concerned about the DA losing black leaders? Helen in her own style and confidence. She says, with the DA, we're the most multiracial, non-racial political party. People live out of their own will. Musimai Mani left for this reasons. Lindy Way for this. When it came to Herman Mashaba, you know what she said?
What did she say?
I'll give you the clip, but let me tell you what she said. She says Herman Mashaba became the EFF mayor. She was going to be voted out by the ANC, and that motion was going to be supported by a majority of DA councillors because of his management style. And remember, when I raised this, there was no motion of no confidence. And because I'd resigned, so ANC never brought in a motion of no confidence. Now, this is the very same person now coming to Johannesburg to save Johannesburg. Someone who's a habitual liar, someone with no integrity, one of the most dishonest human beings I've ever come across. Because I followed her ever since I discovered who she was. And to think when she was the leader of the DA, I voted for her. I really trusted her because I didn't know her personally.
Yeah, sure.
But only to discover, no, Herman, my goodness, this woman doesn't like people who look like me. She wants to use people who look like me to really protect the old regime.
And now, obviously, she's also running, and she's a pretty tough contender. Some would say, right? Are you worried?
I'm not worried about contesting with the habitual liars, people with absolute no integrity, who relies on lies and deceit. For me, it's a walkover. Helen will never become the mayor of the city of Johannesburg now and even in her next life.
Oh, that's pretty bold. That's pretty bold. I mean, because we had her on here, and I asked her. I said, "Well, are you worried about anybody? Who's also running for Joburg Mayor?" And she said, "Well," she basically said, "Well, the only, I guess, opposition we have as the DA is the ANC," and that was her answer. I found that quite interesting.
Because let me tell you why Helen won't govern Johannesburg.
Please.
In 2016, when I was the mayor, we had 104 DA councillors. ANC had 124. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to 2021, DA had a 32% drop. They dropped from 104 to current 70 councillors. You need 136 councillors to govern on your own. You need 136. To recover from that 32% loss, I don't know how she will need a miracle. ANC itself, at the time, in 2016, they had 124. You know how many councillors they have? 90. Who's the third biggest party in the city of Johannesburg? Action SA, a party at the time 1 year old. We've got 44 councillors. We are the third, biggest party, 44 councillors. And then followed by the EFF at 29.
I will give
so you ignore us at your own peril. And you know how much money she spent herself running a campaign in 2021 asking the voters not to vote for Herman Mashaba and Action SA. It's an EFF. You know how much money, even with your radio station, spend a fortune discouraging people to vote for us. We receive 16% in the city of Johannesburg. That's the first one. The second one, people of Johannesburg, because it's a metropolitan city. A lot of people have got family in Khayelitsha, Guguletu, and so forth. They know the mess that she's left behind. They know you can't fool people of Khayelitsha that Helen Zille improved their lives because she's made it worse. Lastly, and very important, that she doesn't know. The ANC of Gauteng, because you've got two ANCs, or maybe three, but I can tell you of two. There's one ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa that's captured by Helen's group and the funders, and the funders. Mm-hmm. But here in Gauteng, the ANC of Gauteng would not work with the DA under any circumstances.
Wow.
So if she's under impression she's going to work with the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa won't be around long in the ANC. And the ANC of Gauteng is not a captured ANC. It's not the ANC that will work with the DA. So these are factors that her funders, when they deployed her, because she wasn't deployed by DA to come here. Mm-hmm. She was deployed by her funders to come here, to come and protect, to a large extent, this 35 billion rands of fraud and corruption involving senior ANC people. And if you look at those reports, it involves a lot of the DA big funders corrupting ANC politicians. Wow. So I believe personally that I think her deployment here is to ensure that she's the only person trusted that in the event she can co-govern with the ANC, then they can cover up the 35 billion rands of corruption.
Right. Lastly, before I let you go, I have to ask you this one. There's a report of councillors apparently having to pay money. I mean, you know where I'm going with this, right? Right.
Okay.
There's 200,000 rands, and because they can't leave until after the local government elections. Would you mind shedding some light on that?
Yeah, let me share some light
Yes,
because
I
think you guys have had nonsense. So
okay.
What happened is because I wasn't born yesterday, Tell me what you do. We are a political party with Helen with a deceitfulness and dishonesty. Mm-hmm. She approaches our sitting councillors, promises them heaven and earth. They register with the DA to be their councillors in the next session. And these are councillors who are not performing. We run a section as a performance assessment. You remember last year we fired 8 in one go.
Yeah, I remember that.
We don't play games.
Yeah.
So we said we're going to continue. So obviously Helen Zela, because she's a dishonest person, approaches some of these guys to say register with us. But then she does not want to take the financial responsibility. She says to them, we will announce you on the closing date of IEC submission of the names. So they register with the DA, but they must be paid by public monies representing Action SA. And then I come across this. What do I do? So that's when we said, guys, all the councillors of the city of Johannesburg, if you want to leave to join political parties, please leave right now. If you are still committed to us, you sign this contract that you have no intention of leaving. In the event you leave, and you know this, you then have to then pay us 200,000 rands. Because you are actually fraudulently earning money, knowing very well that you are already registered with the DA. So far, only one of them refused to sign and spreading lies that we said they must pay 200,000. No, this was to embarrass them, because those who so we don't play games as Action SA. So that's the long and the short and long the story about this. We didn't say to anyone you pay 200. We said if ever you are registered with another political party to be their candidate in the next election, and then in the meantime the public is paying you, you are elected here under Action SA, this thing. So if you want to leave now. But if you don't want to really leave, in the event you're going to leave us at a later stage, would you mind to sign? And the majority of our councillors says, where do we sign? Because they knew they rejected. I don't know if you saw our expose by our caucus leader, Marcel Cotrias, warning Helen Zeller to say, Helen, please stop phoning me. Because did you see that?
No, that I did not see. No, I didn't.
Oh,
no, I didn't. But when they say hotly contested, this is
so
comes to mind.
That's what I'm saying is
yeah.
So you can imagine this is the kind of politician Helen is. I mean, she's As far as I'm concerned, when I was the mayor, I used to tell the officials who tried to sabotage my administration. I said, guys, I was born in a village. If we find a snake in our home, in our house, we don't just kill it; we burn it. Because I don't know, for some reason we had this belief that the snake will rise if you don't. If you kill it, you must burn it. So for me, Helen, it's in that class of a snake that if you don't burn it, it'll come back. She's that kind of person. Morality for her, no, it's out of the question.
Wow.
But she's the kind of person that will lie in your face. And I'll send you that clip, or you want me to play it now so that you can listen to it?
Well, sure. Go ahead if you...
Okay, listen to
Herman
this.
Mashaba, he was going to face a vote of no confidence taken by the ANC, but would have been supported by many people in the DA caucus because of his leadership style. He became the EFF mayor of Johannesburg. Everyone knows that, and his own party was going to vote him out. That is why he left.
Now, remember, this is the person who, when I exposed the secret meetings, she denied it. This is the very same person who knows about a motion of no confidence by the ANC before I left. This is the same person who says Herman Mashaba was going to be voted out by a majority of the councillors. Now, people of Johannesburg, must they believe her? And then you can fast forward it. And I challenge you, Thabo, one of these days, get Connie Mulder from the Freedom Front Plus, how she collapsed Dr. Palatz's administration. That you don't have to get it from me. Ask Connie Mulder how to...
The leader of the Freedom Front Plus,
okay,
yes.
Please, ask her about the collapse of our Mpho Palatz's administration, where Helen made sure that the ANC takes over this government. So, and this is the very same person that people of Johannesburg must trust. It's not going to happen. Fortunate enough, here is it. I'm not talking unless you can deny that she never had, and I think she's got a potential of she can deny that she ever had this interview with Mr. Mbeja. Because I've said this before, and I'm saying this to you. Helen is one politician I've observed over the last few years. It's one human being on earth that I know even if you can try and have a lie detector test, Helen will pass it with distinction because Helen believes in her lies. Because, lie detectors they catch you when you don't believe. But if you believe in your lies, well, you're wasting your time. And I can tell you, Helen Zella is the only person that I know, a lie detector test, Helen will pass it with distinction. Very chances of her denying this interview. Even though it is there on the archives. But there's a chance that she's going to deny that Action SA Herman Mashaba manufactured this.
All I have to say, Mr. Mashaba, is this is some election. This is some election. But really, thank you so much for taking the time to come here. We genuinely appreciate it. I know you've got your work cut out for you, campaigning, one place after another.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity and the engagement.
Thank you.